Looking for a spicy rom-com that's the perfect mix of fall and Christmas? Well, look no further because I've got you covered. Hey there, book lovers. I'm here with my review of The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. But before we get to that, I thought it might be fun to show you what I've been reading this week. I've been switching to Christmas reads because of all of the Christmas elements in this book. And I'm usually reading more than one book at a time because my TBR is way too long and life is way too short to just read one book at a time. Also, if you can't tell from behind me, these are all library books, and I have a bit of an impulse control problem when it comes to going to the library. I can't seem to leave them there once I find them, and so in order for me to make sure that they get read before I have to turn them back in, I usually have to read more than one book at a time. I tend to try to keep it to 3 to 4 books at a time max, otherwise it gets way too confusing for me. But yeah, so let's just dive right in. So the first book I have for you guys that I've been reading is My Favorite Holidate by Lauren Blakely. This is a standalone holiday romance. It's book 1 in this author's Evergreen Falls series. This is the first book I've read by this author. It's about a woman named Fable who finds out that her boyfriend's cheating on her, and she breaks up with him, only to find out that she needs a date to her sister's Christmas wedding. Thankfully, her single dad billionaire boss steps in to fill the fake dating role for that wedding. He's also a man that she has a major crush on, so that's a fun dynamic to throw in the mix. I am about 25% into this book so far, and I'm really enjoying it. It is a spicy romance, if you can't tell by the cover, so if that's not something you're into, maybe give this book a pass. I'm used to reading stuff like that, so that's not a problem for me. The next book I have is Mr. Fixer-Upper by Lucy Score. Lucy Score is one of my favorite authors. She's one that I'll read anything she's written. I'm working on reading everything she's written. I'm just not there yet. This is an interconnected standalone series that the second book in this series is actually called The Christmas Fix, that I'm eager to get to because, again, it's a holiday read and that's kind of what I'm into right now. This is about a woman named Paige who is a production assistant on a construction renovation reality TV show who starts to fall for the star of the show and is kind of struggling with that because, she's a woman and trying to be taken seriously in her career is already hard enough. Because of that, without throwing in sleeping with the star of the show into the mix. I'm really enjoying it so far, but again, I expected to really enjoy it because I'm a big fan of Lucy Score. It's another spicy romance, so again, if that's not your thing, definitely give it a pass. But again, Lucy Score is always really good for the spice, so I'm enjoying it so far for sure. And the next one I have is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. Some of you may recognize this one from my fall book list video if you've seen that. This is book 2 in the Dream Harbor series. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe is book 1 if you've read that one. It's a small town spicy romance about Hazel, who is she runs the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and she is coming up on her 30th birthday and is starting to feel a bit stuck. She feels like she's done the same thing over and over and hasn't really done anything story worthy, or she hasn't done anything exciting. And she starts to find, notes in books around the bookstore that feel like clues to a scavenger hunt, so some sort of adventure. And so she enlists the help of this outgoing fisherman in town named Noah to help her have one last adventurous summer before she turns 30. Not realizing that he has a massive crush on her and will basically do anything for her. And so I'm not super far into it yet, but it does sound like a really cute romance that has a guaranteed happily ever after. I'm really excited to see how it ends. Book 3 in this one is The Christmas Tree Farm, which again is another holiday read that I'm really excited to kind of get to because I realize it's the middle of November, but at the same time, it's, it's a short month, and who doesn't love Christmas? So that's what I've been reading. Let me know if you guys have read any of these, or if you're interested in reading any of them in the comments, or, if you have any other Christmas reads to recommend, as we get toward the Christmas season. But otherwise, let's dive right into The Wedding Witch. The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling is book 3 in her Graves Glen series, and I've included links to my reviews for books 1 and 2 in the description in case you missed those. This is a completed series, which I actually really prefer, because that means I don't have to wait for the next book to come out, and I can just grab it when I finish the one before it, rather than having to wait a year or more for the next book to come out. So that's always a plus. It's not always doable to wait that long, but it was nice to be able to do that with this one. The story of The Wedding Witch follows Bowen Penhallow, who is a witch, but he's also a loner compared to his other brothers that were featured in the first 2 books of the series. He spends most of his time in his mountaintop cabin in Wales studying dark magic, spells, artifacts, that sort of thing. So he doesn't really spend a lot of time with people, which made it kind of funny and a little endearing to read when he did interact with people, especially when he interacted with Tamsin Bly, who is the female main character in this book. She is a human, which makes her very different from the other characters in the previous 2 books, because they were all witches. And she acquires magical artifacts for witches for money, like that's her job. She's very social because of the roles that she has to take in order to do those jobs and acquire those objects. So she's kind of a nice contrast to Bowen. Bowen is an occasional customer of hers. They both end up at the same wedding at a grand Welsh estate. Bowen is there to check up on the bride, who used to be his dead best friend's. His friend is a ghost. Friend Declan is a ghost who asked him to check up on the bride. And Tamsin is there to get a magical object that it's basically like a last job for her. Like, it will pay enough money that she will never have to work again if she can acquire it for a client. And due to a magical mishap with a very powerful spell, they get sent back in time to 1957 and have to figure out, what sent them back in time, what they have to fix to get sent back to their own time, without drawing suspicion to the other 1957 witches who don't realize that they're not from 1957, while also dealing with the fact that they're falling in love with one another. This book might actually be my favorite of the series. It was very different from books 1 and 2. It was implied that this was like an enemies to lovers sort of book. But I kind of didn't really get that feeling with the characters. I think it was implied because Tamsin shows up in a previous book where she double crosses one of Bowen's brothers. And so there's this implication that Tamsin thinks, oh, your family hates me, so so Bowen, he probably hates her too. But then there's also you get the feeling that Bowen, like, he meets Tamsin and then there's this instant attraction, like this love at first sight feeling. So you never really get the feeling that they hate each other at all. So I don't know if this is a really an enemies to lovers book or not. I didn't really get that feeling. I did kind of read that online, when I was kind of looking around on summaries on this one. But definitely a love at first sight feeling for me. I loved the characters. I'm a very character-driven reader, so I enjoyed watching how they grew as characters as I read the book. They were both loners, both kind of in their own way shy away from people. Tamsin doesn't really put down roots. She's got that wanderlust. She doesn't really stay in one place for too very long. And then by the end of the book, I liked how they were able to find and kind of form their own sort of community, and put down roots. I really enjoyed being able to follow them on that journey, with them as I was reading that book. And I liked how they had a lot of chemistry together. They were very similar, but in some ways, but they were also, there was a lot of opposites attract. Bowen was this grumpy mountain man sort of character, and then Tamsin was this social butterfly, like sunshiny type character, because of all of like the disguises and the roles that she would play for different jobs, and especially in the time travel element where they were like pretending to be different people to try and figure out how to get back to their own time. Like, there was just very different roles they had to play, and I liked how they were able to fit together. That was really, really fun to read and really enjoyable for me. This book felt spicier than the other two books, to me, which again wasn't a problem for me because I'm used to reading that, and that's not really an issue for me, but I know that can be an issue for some readers, so I did want to mention that. It was one, maybe two scenes, so it's not something you have to like abandon reading the whole book for. It is something you can skim or skip over. You don't have to skip like pages and pages. It's not really graphic. I do think the forced proximity trope that was present in there because of the time travel, the way it was written, I think that might have lended itself to it being a bit spicier than the other two books, but I don't think it really did. It didn't feel like it deterred from the plot too much for me. I just really love this author's writing. She is really funny, really easy to read. There was a really funny part a really good part in this one that there was a point where Bowen and Tamsin both think that one of the other is going to have to die for each other, and they were arguing about who was going to be the one to do it, like arguing about who was going to be making the sacrifice. And it was a point where I found myself laughing about it, but then also kind of felt myself getting emotional at the same time, and kind of tearing up a little bit, which was kind of impressive. That to me was impressive that the author was able to make me feel both of those feelings at the same time, which is just a testament to me, in my opinion, is a testament to this author's writing, and the way that she's able to use humor to draw out a whole host of different emotions while you're reading these books. But yeah, this is, and that was present in all of the books in the series, but very, very present in this one for sure. Overall, I'd give The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling 5 out of 5 stars. It was a quick, funny read. It was on the spicier side, which I didn't mind, and it was a nice ending to the Graves Glen series, although I wouldn't mind reading anything else in this universe if the author decided to come back and write anything in that. It was also a nice transition for me from fall witchy rom-com to holiday reads, since it was a mix of fall and Christmas. Anybody who has read the first two books in the Graves Glen series and enjoyed them, I would definitely recommend picking this one up if you haven't already. Otherwise, anybody who's a fan of time travel, witchy rom-coms in general, grumpy sunshine, spicy romance, anything like that, I would definitely recommend picking this one up. For those of you who are looking to find out what's next, be on the lookout for Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. Tessa's another one of those authors for me that if she writes it, I'm going to read it, and I usually end up enjoying whatever she writes. This one is a standalone holiday romance about Melody and Beat, who are the son and daughter of a mother best friend duo who they had a band. Their band broke up, and now their kids are tasked with, years later, trying to get the band back together for one last Christmas reunion show, and in the process they end up falling for one another. I read this one a while back and really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you guys on this one. and try to help everybody get into the Christmas spirit as we get closer to Thanksgiving and closer to Christmas. If you are interested in any of the books that I shared this week, please let me know in the comments if you've read them, if you're planning to read them, what your thoughts were. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. I will see you guys next time, and happy reading.